The Galactic Council had never feared a species before, until humanity arrived. For centuries, the Council reigned supreme, a union of ancient alien civilizations bound by treaties, technology, and the quiet belief that they were untouchable. When Earth was discovered, it was initially dismissed. A barely class for planet orbiting a yellow dwarf, home to primitive bipeds barely scratching the surface of space travel. But humans were fast, unnaturally fast. In just 2 centuries, they had leaped from rockets to warp drives, from planetary war to interstellar diplomacy. And worse, they were unpredictable. They laughed at diplomacy, challenged superpowers, and didn't flinch at extinction-level odds. So when the Human Federation refused to pay the Council's galactic tax, citing independence and free trade, the Council convened. They drafted a threat, a formal, ornate declaration of compliance, masked as diplomacy but steeped in arrogance. It was standard. Most young civilizations caved. The message reached Earth's lunar embassy at 1401 Universal Time Coordinated. At 1402 Universal Time Coordinated, Earth received it. At 1406 Universal Time Coordinated, Earth responded. The reply didn't come in the form of a message. It came in the form of 12 hypersonic kinetic slugs, launched from the far side of Jupiter. They weren't aimed at cities. They were aimed at Council ships. Admiral Kithal of the Zrathi Dominion was aboard the Veneration, the Council's flagship dreadnought orbiting the neutral moon of Echelon 3. He was reviewing the original threat letter when a lieutenant screamed through the ship's auditory cortex. Object incoming. 12, no, 14. Unpowered, unmarked projectiles. No heat signature. No drive flare. Speed. Kithal asked calmly, though his frills stiffened. Point 2C. At that velocity. Impact in. The bridge dissolved into blinding light. A fraction of a second later, the Veneration ceased to exist. Across the Echelon system, 6 more Council ships were annihilated in the same moment. No warning. No comms. Just raw, planetary-grade violence. By the time the system defense grid booted up, the sky was already clear. The slugs had no explosives, just tungsten and math. In the aftermath, panic rippled through the Council. No one had expected Earth's response. Certainly not in minutes. Certainly not with hypersonic relativistic projectiles. And yet, Earth hadn't just retaliated. It had pre-calculated orbital paths, accounted for planetary drift, and launched the slugs hours before even receiving the threat. That meant, they knew we'd send the threat, whispered Chancellor Vorth of the Tetrarel Dominion, her gills twitching in disbelief. They were waiting for it. Not waiting, corrected Grand Arbiter Nezek of the Salix. His voice was hollow. They baited us. Back on Earth, President Alina Reyes stood before a silent chamber of Earth's unified command. The lights dimmed as satellite feeds showed debris drifting through the Echelon system. There were no speeches, no applause, just acknowledgement. General Thorne, head of Solar Defense Command, finally spoke. Their threat came too slow. We knew their playbook. President Reyes nodded. And now they know ours. At the next Emergency Council session, representatives from across the galaxy sat in stunned silence. For the first time in 10,000 cycles, the floor was quiet. Then, Ambassador Malik of Earth stepped forward. Human. No armor. No entourage. Just a dark suit, piercing eyes, and a datapad. He placed it on the Council's central table. The hologram flickered to life, projecting 12 more trajectories. More slugs. Already en route. Already calculated. Malik's voice was calm. We recommend no further threats. We are very fast thinkers, and very fast shooters. He turned, paused, and glanced back. Oh, and we don't miss. The Council never sent another threat to Earth again. In fact, within a solar cycle, the Galactic Council quietly amended its diplomatic protocols. Earth was granted a permanent seat, not out of respect, but out of fear. The humans called it deterrence. Everyone else called it a warning. A very, very fast one.